Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone, and we will please stand and we will say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And just as a reminder, there is a sign-in if you'd like to sign in up front. And I think, do you want me to, are you going to present those now? Or?
Yes, and we do have one revision.
Okay, sorry, I'm skipping.
That's okay. That's under personnel, and it'll be item number D, and it's band extra service positions. And that's the only revision.
Okay, I think you're going to present some.
It's always, like our July and our December meetings, always a special time that we try to recognize our retirees from the past school year. And it's a sort of a bittersweet time. It's a difficult time sometimes for the school district to say goodbye to individuals that have meant so much to the school district over the years and has made an impact on the lives of the children in Estill County. So that's the bitter part of it, but it's also a time of celebration for our employees that reach that point that are able to retire. And so tonight, as part of the recognition of our board and to show the appreciation of our board members and, of course, the appreciation that the community and staff has for these individuals, we'd like to recognize each of these individuals. And what I'm going to do, ladies, I'm going to ask y'all to come up, and we'll just sort of one at a time recognize those individuals that are retired. And once we've done that, we'll sort of take a brief recess, and we'll go up and have a time of fellowship and just congratulating them on their retirement and have some punch and cookies and just to say thank you for your service. So we'll get ready and begin, and I'll just ask you ladies to come up, and we'll start with the high school, and we can see who all's here. Our first recipient would be Miss Brenda Honchel. Brenda worked in the Estill County School District for a total of 9 years. She was hired January of 2007 as an office assistant, and she retired this past year in January. So Brenda, we're very thankful for your work here at our school system. And if one of y'all come forward, we'll just sort of present it to her. We'll take a picture here. And don't care, I'd love to be in these as well. So we'll put you in the middle, and we'll do it together. Let's let them come on in, guys. Next on their list, and I don't think Miss Martin is with us, but Miss Mary Martin, who a total of 19 years in the Estill County School District, but a total of 31 years in education. She worked a year in Florida, 2 in Clark County, 9 in Clark County and 2 in Bourbon. But she's been with our school district since 1998 as a business PE and a teacher at the Success Academy. So congratulations to Miss Martin on her retirement. Our next individual is Miss Connie Pasley. And Connie here? Connie worked 28 years in the Estill County school system, and she was hired in 1990 and taught special ed. And Connie was at the high school when she retired this past spring. And then last but not least at the high school is Mr. Randy Sutton. And Randy taught 22 years in the Estill County school system, 1 year in the Harlan County school system. I don't know Harlan County boy myself, so it's a good place. You got out there in 1 year, I was lucky. But was hired in 1995 to teach math, but also I think Randy would tell you his greatest service was his service to our country in the military, and we're very appreciative for that. Pros are still active. We might need one for the garden here. Okay, the next one is Miss Jennifer Gross. And I'm not sure, I don't think Jennifer's with us today. And Jennifer has worked in our school system for 10 years as a speech therapist. And she's worked in every school district. When you're a speech therapist, you're pretty much where the need takes you. And Jennifer has went out on retirement due to some illness or sickness reasons, and hopefully, maybe, possibly, she'll be back with us. You know, she's got a few years to see what happens, and she's been a fantastic person in our district, and we'll miss her. Let's go on to West Urban, and first would be Miss Lucretia Reese. And Lucretia served 11 years in the Estill County Schools District. She began in 2003 as a paraeducator at Estill Springs, and then she moved to be a clerk at West Urban, where she continued until she decided to retire. And we're very thankful. Next up is Miss Shauna Ballard. 33 years, all in Estill County, and 1984 was her begin date. And she taught 7 years in first grade and the last 26 years as a kindergarten teacher at Urban, Estill Springs, and South Urban. God makes special people to be kindergarten. Thank you so much. I'll let you do the pleasure. Mr. Ballard, no crying. Now to Estill Springs, Miss Tammy Terry decided to retire after 22 years. 1994, she began as a Chapter 1 in a lunchroom aide at Estill Springs, and went on to West Urban in 98. 2009, she's the Administrative Secretary at West Urban, and then in 2013, she went to Estill Springs until this spring when she walks in here and says, I'm going home. Employees at our bus drives. First would be Miss Lisa Estes. 19 years as a school bus driver. Began in 1997 as a driver, and she retired this past February. You asked to put a bunch of kids in a vehicle and turn your back to them. Now, it takes a special person to be a bus driver. Thank you. And then, Mr. Bobby Muncie. I don't know, Bobby, I didn't see you. Bobby was with us for 23 years as a driver, and began in 1994. He drove our career tech kids to Madison County every day. Go over and have set every day and wait on those kids, but he did it for a long period of time. We're very appreciative of Bobby.
I'll leave him right now. I'm gonna skip Cindy.
Why I did that, I don't know. This was a sudden retirement this spring. After 30 years, Miss Cindy Robinson decided to leave us, and she started in 1987 as a special ed teacher in our school district, and she was at Hargett, Urban, and West Urban during that time. So Cindy, if you come forward. Well, you got an old superintendent, and he referred to you in the class. Last thing I'd do is I'd like to just recognize all of our family members that showed up tonight as well. And we appreciate the fact that you gave us your loved ones for the time period that you gave us. I know that they've had an impact on the lives of children in our school district, and we're very thankful. So we're thankful for you being here tonight. And Ms. Hardy, if it's okay with you at this time, we will have a recess and go up and spend some time and have some refreshments and shake hands and reminisce about old memories. And we're just thankful for you being here tonight. Thank you for your service.
You make a motion?
Make a motion. I second it.
All in favor?
We'll be in recess for about 30 minutes, and then if you all want to come back, we'd be more than glad to have you come back and spend your afternoon with us.
Yeah, it's pushed back.
If not, then you can go on home when we're through.
thank you for what you've done.
Okay, I will now call the meeting back into open session. Next on the agenda, we have personnel.
Okay, start with the first request. The other day, we received news that we had received some additional Title I money for the coming school year. And of course, our emphasis, even with our new coach mentor positions, has been to put an emphasis on reading in our school district. That is really a huge need for us. To begin with, the first request is considering West Irvin. West Irvin does not have a lot of paraeducators because there's just not any call for paraeducators at those grade levels. So our paraeducators do a lot of work with intervention in that school. And because of the additional Title I money, and also because of their allocation, in Title I you have a situation that's called supplanting, and that's whenever you have positions that's been paid for by SEEK or the general fund money. You can't go back and pay for those positions out of Title I. Title I has to be a supplementary program above and beyond what their school allocation calls for. So with that additional money, our thought process is that West Irvin has the money as part of their allocation, that we talked to the principal and she's in agreement that an instructional assistant would help her. So we're asking that we would add one instructional assistant paid out of Title I. Does not cost the general fund. There's no cost to the board general fund. And I'm thinking, Felicia, we can take all these as one motion. Don't you agree? The second one, or if you want to pull one out, we can pull one out. The second one, and really this is where the additional money comes in. As you know, we hired 2 coach mentors, one at Springs, one at West Irvin, and at the time we really did not have the money, or thought that we had the money that we would have in Title I in order to do this. But with the additional money, and also the thought process that since we had a person leave a position in Title I that I'm not going to fill at this time, we feel like we now have the money to move forward with this coaching position at the middle school as well, to work with the language arts teachers there in reading, and to have that same impact of going in and working with those teachers. Of course, the requirement will be the same as at the other schools. They have to have a specialized degree in literacy or reading, and they'll be working with teachers, and they'll also be working with students. And this is to try to improve the reading instruction at the middle school level. C is also, and that's Title I as well, so no cost to the general fund at all. C is to change a preschool paraeducator from 6.5, I believe it's from 6 to 7.5, is that right? It says 6.5 to 7?
That's my bad.
No, it's okay. It's just, it's easy to get those numbers flipped, but we currently have a 6-hour paraeducator there, and we're asking for that to be a 7.5-hour paraeducator. Remember, this year, for the first time, preschool is now 5 days a week. It is full-time Monday through Friday. So really, this person is needed all day long, all 5 days a week. It's going to be paid for out of preschool funds. And to let you all know right now, you had the vision to add a preschool teacher back in the spring. I can inform you right now, we've got 157 preschool children enrolled. We've got a waiting list of probably, how many, Lisa? 13 right now on the waiting list. Now, if everybody shows, we've got 13 on the waiting list. So that extra preschool teacher that we've added, we're going to have a full class. So that's going to be a good add for us, and that aid is needed for that extra time that they'll be there. And finally, D is the one that I asked you to add, and I think I have those for you. And these are positions that our marching band wishes to have, and their band boosters pay for these. So it's no cost to the board, but the board is the only group that can approve changes to the salary schedule. So again, the band will be paying for these positions, and that's no cost to the board as well. So I don't know if you have any questions about any of those, but if you don't have any questions, I would recommend that we would approve those positions. And again, the main point is that those positions are at no cost to the board when it comes to the general fund.
Yeah.
So are these people already employees at school, and they're just going to take on these coaching positions?
A is a new position.
No, I'm talking about for the band. The band positions.
The band director chooses who those people are.
Okay,
That
so
will
they
help
may
him.
not be board employees.
Some of them aren't, and a lot of people in extra service positions are not. So they'll have to do their background checks and everything just like any normal employee would. And they're in agreement on paying for all those.
I understand.
So you'll know B is a new position. C is a change in just hours, so that position is already there. It will just be more hours. And of course, D, I think they've already hired those individuals. They just need now the ability to pay them.
Go ahead. I'll make a move to.
Move to accept.
To accept.
We have a motion, do we have a
Motion.
second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you all very much. I think it'll make a huge impact on our reading program at the middle school and at West Urban to have those two individuals.
Okay, next we have a Facilities Career Tech Center.
I just wanted to give you all an update. Of course, if you saw the letter that we were able to put together to try to explain some inaccuracies that was reported in the Clay City Times about the Career Tech Center and how the Career Tech Center, how the grant was awarded. Basically, what is a state-operated center? There was some questions about why would Powell County be a participant, in this, and how a state-operated center would work. And also, we tried to talk about just the importance of the Career and Technical Center itself to try to alleviate some of those concerns out there that land had already been purchased and there was deals that was going to be made. There's even been rumors that that building would be built in Powell County, which makes, the Estill County Board of Education can't build a building in Powell County, so it's just not even a feasibility, to be honest. But you know how things go. People, for whatever reason, they're misinformed or they're trying to cloud the issue or whatever the reason would be. And that letter was written to try to let everybody know exactly what the facts are. And again, these facts are very easily checked. If anybody wants to check these, you don't have to take my word for it. I appreciate the comments of our board members. Once that letter was written, I did send it out to them, and we made sure that we wanted everybody to know what we are. We're the people that are responsible for building that facility, and our kids are going to benefit from that facility. And other students that attend that facility does generate revenue for this school district. But the facility is ours. It's ours alone. And it will be ours to run. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or concerns about that letter, but I just wanted to put it in there today to make sure that everybody had a copy of that letter if you didn't have it in the paper. You want me to just continue with the other two? Item B is concerning that we should be receiving a contract anytime from Workforce. concerning the $5.7 million grant award for that facility. And of course, one of the first things you have to do when you start looking at planning to build a facility is that you need to look at hiring an architect. And I know that Ross Tarrant has been our architect for many years, but I do believe in the spirit of being open and trying to look at all the different, if you think about what we've done over the last year or so, we've done RFPs for auditing services, we've done it for banking services, we've also done it for attorney. I just think every once in a while you need to just take a step back, look at where you've been, where you're at, and look at and see if we want to continue with our current architect. Doesn't mean that we're dissatisfied with the work that Ross Tarrant has done. And they may very well be the architect of choice when the time comes. But I do think we need to go ahead and put a proposal out there. There is a KDE template to make a request for architectural services. And with your all's vote tonight, what we will do is go ahead and get that template. I've not forwarded it to Angie yet, but I do have it. We'll get that template in the correct form. We'll request proposals. And when those proposals come back, what we will try to do at that point in time is we may very well ask a couple of these firms, 2 or 3 of them, to come forward, make a presentation, maybe at the next board meeting. I do think it's feasible, Angie, that we could have proposals back to us and ready for the August board meeting, and you all could make a decision moving forward. Because before we purchase the first acre of land, we really need to have that architect in place. And the architect at that point in time can look at possible sites that the committee, and that's the C part, the architect can then look at the possible sites that we've discussed, give us the pros, what the cons are, give us estimates of what they believe that site preparation would be, what cost of that property should be. So really the first thing before you buy land or anything is that you need to decide on an architect. So I guess A and C were both for information, to let you know that the site committee has met, and we did discuss 3 different properties. We're not bound to those 3 properties. We've not even had discussions with landowners at this point. We're just saying these are possible properties for this school site. So the motion that I would ask for you all to make would be that we would request proposals for architectural services to build a new career technical center here in Estill County.
Okay, I will make that motion. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Thank you all.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have consent items. So any we need to pull out, or?
I don't know if there's anything y'all want to pull out. Let me go down through here and just make sure that you all, a lot of this, we did accept a food service bid for a oven combo. You have that information there after we went through the bid process. F is the certified evaluation plan. Ms. Isaacs is here if you have any questions about it. But of course, with the change in law in this past spring, there was changes in how teachers and principals, for that matter, are evaluated. And it's really left up to each individual district how we move forward. We did try to keep our current plan sort of in place, because we felt like there's been a lot of work that's centered around that, especially in a few of those areas. But the one thing that was removed was growth. Student growth was removed from evaluations, and that document reflects that. I don't know if y'all have any questions about that, but if you do, Ms. Isaacs is here. Also, item G is our strategic plan, and during the past year, you have that document as well. And once the board approves that tonight, we're going to take some of these to print so that everybody in our community can see what our strategic plan is through 2020. I believe it is. And we do have one goal that is still not finished, because under academic excellence, we still don't know exactly how the testing system is going to roll out in terms of being able to have an overall goal of where we want to be. I mean, our goal is that we would become a district of excellence. But that's not one of the goals, because it's not measurable. We've got to have something that's measurable, that's tangible, that we can see our progress towards that. So right now, we removed that goal under academic excellence. But the big thing about your strategic plan is the work that was done with beliefs and values. And every employee in this school system had an opportunity to participate in those two categories of your strategic plan. And that's your overall mission and vision. Just remember that the mission is what we do every day. Every employee every day in this school district should ask themselves, what did I do today to help one child succeed, or help several children succeed? That's what you do every day. If you're a cook, what did you do in that lunchroom to help children succeed? Teachers, custodians, everybody, district office personnel, what is your everyday role and how did you perform that day? Of course, our vision is to become a district of excellence. And, that's our goal. That's something that we need to try to reach. And then the beliefs and value statements is, what is it that we really believe as a community, as parents, as students, as employees? And all of those groups were involved, and that was a huge effort. Miss Miller Ruiz led that effort along with all of our district office people, but we led that effort, and we completed it in June. I think that's one of her final tasks before she left to go back to KDE. So those are the beliefs and values that the entire community said was important to our school district. So with that being said, that would be the strategic plan. You have to approve the copier leases tonight. Only the board, we had RFPs, only the board can approve the lease. It's a 5-year lease on those copiers. And then Jay, the last thing under there is the report back from the healthcare committee. We were able to start a conversation here back in May to deal with the healthcare services that our students receive. And we considered several different proposals as that committee. But the major thing that came out of that right now, yes, it would be important at the school system, anytime we can save money in our budget, we want to try to do that. But we also want to do it so that it doesn't hurt us in the long run. So one of the major pieces that come out of that, yes, the school system, the recommendation would be that we would still continue to employ our nurses like we've done in the past, but we've been able to obtain the services of Dr. On as our medical director, and now our nurses will be able to provide some, nursing care to our students. Technically, before, we really wasn't even supposed to put on Band-Aids or give out a Tylenol or to give out a Tums or something if a student had an upset stomach. Now we'll be able to provide those basic services to our kids. Our health coordinator will work at the high school and middle school to help to try to provide services there. And we'll also pick up South Urban as well. So we'll be able to provide a greater level of care to our students, and the health care committee is not finished. We're going to continue to look at, because we did have some offers come in that sounded really good on paper, but we want to make sure before we jump out there and do something, we don't want to start providing services for kids, especially with what's going on with healthcare right now, and all of a sudden in January, February, have to back off and say, we can't do this no more. Because we're already seeing that on the national debate. When you have nationalized healthcare like we have now, Lord forbid if you're going to take it away. And we don't want to get in that position that we get a nurse or a nurse practitioner at the high school, middle school come January, all of a sudden the funding's not there, and we have to say, well, we're going to have to take it away. So we feel like we can go ahead with the services that we have now with a greater, I guess, a greater emphasis to have more services for kids with having a medical director, and that's the recommendation of the committee, I believe, and Ms. Donna may want to speak to that, but I think that is the recommendation of the committee at this time. So if y'all have any questions, if you've got any comments.
Well, the committee met several different times, and we had a lot of participation from stakeholders and people within the community. And I listed on some of our committee minutes just some of the options that were there. And our recommendation from the committee was to go ahead, as Mr. Saylor said, and proceed with option number 2. And at this time, the committee felt that that was a very good option to start the school year with. And we'll be working more. We left the committee open with further meetings throughout the year. And Mr. Saylor was there for those meetings, and I think it was very, very helpful. And I think a lot of good came from those meetings. So we're excited just about the future and being able to provide more services for our students.
I agree. And I don't know if anybody has any questions about the evaluation plan. Also, I didn't mention C. C is, of course, the Data and Security Breach Notification Best Practice Guide. That's something we have to approve every year. Jeremy does need to say something briefly about it.
I just basically have to make sure I bring it to your attention with the Data Security and Breach Notification in accordance with KRS 61.931, that we as a school district will adhere to the best practices for data security and also take responsible action if there is a data breach. On page 2 of this document that you have has the Hat 2 section that we must follow as a school district, regardless of cost, to secure those data practices, which basically is broken down with informing within 72 hours. You must send all these different notifications to the Attorney General's office, Department of Public Accounts, so on and so forth. I'm reading it here. But I just have to make sure that we are always aware of it. Again, I'll probably do this again at this time next year, just to make sure we're always in the forefront to know that we are doing our best practices. But in the case, if something does get out, whether it be someone accidentally lost a thumb drive, a laptop with sensitive information is stolen, or maybe is lost somewhere, we do have to take those actions to secure that data.
If you don't care, just for the record, I would like for Ms. Isaacs, just if she doesn't care, just a couple minutes, just talk about the evaluation plan and the major changes, if you don't care.
Well, with Senate Bill 1, it really gave more level control. That was really what the whole thing was about. And so out of that Senate Bill 1, we have a 50-50 committee, which is made up of 50% teachers, 50% administrators. So that committee is in charge of making changes to the certified evaluation plan. Okay, so we met and made those changes. One major change of the plan is to remove student growth goals from a teacher's growth, and also that of principal. Okay, if you taught 4 through 8, you had to have 2 growth goals. One that tied back to the state, one that was a local goal. Not just our district, teachers all around the state. It just didn't work out as the state had planned. And principals can tell you that. So we removed those, and it was our option to do that. Now, I will tell you the regs have not been written, and so they will not come out until around December. So I will come back to you this time next year, probably with some revisions to this plan. But right now, as we see it, this is where we're at. It still has to be multiple measures, which we do have it in there. And when I say multiple measures, that means going through performance criteria, and we're using the same criteria, but we also use student voice, survey. We use a lot of different measures for teachers and for principals. So basically, the main thing is student growth came out. And from what I have talked to other districts, that's the main thing that came out of theirs. So, not that we won't be talking about student growth and setting goals, but it will not be as a part of this plan.
We really felt like that student growth could be addressed in terms of evaluation and performance in the classroom. Same thing as principals. We debated it a lot. I debated it for principals. It's a little hard to hold principals accountable for student growth if you're not holding teachers accountable for student growth. But that statement in itself is pretty much not really a true statement, because they're going to be held accountable for student growth anyway. They have to be. I mean, if a teacher has 10% of their kids that's reading at grade level, that's not a student issue, that's a teacher issue. So they can be held accountable as part of their evaluation performance. The same as a principal can be held accountable if their reading rate for novice students continues to be at 40%, then they can be held accountable as well as part of their performance, because their performance in their job duties is not leading to a change in the growth of the students within particular areas. So although some people may see that as a big concern, I don't think it will be as long as principals, and our principals do understand, because it was part of the conversation, that you might be removing student growth goals from teachers' evaluation, but you hold them accountable as part of their performance. And I am definitely, as superintendent, going to hold you accountable for the performance of your students as well. Because I don't think you can pass your evaluation performance-wise if students aren't gaining in terms of their academic performance. So I don't know if you have any other questions about any of those items, but if not, you can entertain a motion to approve all those by consent.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items A through J.
There's a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? And now we move on to any public comments. Silence. Okay. We'll move on to the superintendent's report or the board member forum.
Okay, I'll start, and then if any of the board members have any comments, it'll be fine. Notification of personnel actions, you have those in front of you. I will tell you that we are very close to having all positions hired, and we're still a little while away, a little bit away. Any teacher can actually leave a school district now 15 days before the start of the first student attendance day. We're not quite there yet, so there could still be some shakeups in terms of somebody decided to leave us at a late date, but we feel like that we're moving forward in terms of getting our positions hired. Of course, we just had 2 new positions approved tonight that have to be posted, and some of those could have some impact on somebody moving around. But we'll try to get all those taken care of, and we are in the 30-day waiver period as well, so we can't ask for a waiver after a job has been posted for 2 days. So we can't ask for a waiver, but we'll try to keep those jobs open for at least a week so that we can try to get applicants and make sure that everybody knows about them so they can feel fair. There's been a fair process in terms of getting those posted and everybody getting notice on those. You all want a copy of my activity report this past month, and that's that, just some of the things that we've been working on. I did participate in a really interesting interview on July 13th with WEKU talking about food insecurity. And for anybody that doesn't know that term, we're talking about students that during the summer or during breaks that do not have access to food on a daily basis. And it was really a great conversation. There was 3 different people in on that conversation, and Belinda was gone. She decided to take off during that. She was at the national conference, so she's the expert here in our district, so they took the next best thing. I guess they chose me, and but we had a great conversation about that, And, you know, our summer feeding program, this is the first time in several years we've had a summer feeding program. And we've been averaging, I think before she left, and I've not asked her recently, but we've been averaging about 120 meals a day, which is, you know, that you may say, well, that's not a lot for 2,300 students. But that's 100 meals that kids would not have had if we had not had this feeding program. And hopefully we're looking for opportunities to expand that in the future. I worry about during all breaks, during Thanksgiving break, you know, kids that go without a Thanksgiving meal, and during Christmas break, and especially snow days. One of the biggest things that Arthur and I discuss a lot of times when there's no school is where are our kids going to eat that day? Because we know that when they're with us, they get breakfast and lunch every day. So a lot of great discussion. That was really one of the, it's not a fun discussion to have, but it was really a great discussion to have with a group of people to talk about things that we can do to improve that. You also have fundraiser reports. Each of your schools has turned in a fundraiser report. I know there's been some conversation here lately. There's been some roadblocks, but they're not involving our students. As everybody knows, that we have a policy that prevents any of our students or our organizations from raising money in terms of using a roadblock. But that doesn't keep Little League teams and travel teams and different ones from doing that. I'm telling you, a lot of times, I don't even know who's raising money and for what purpose, you know. I really wish that, it's not really my place to tell county government what to do, but I really wish that county government would get sort of a handle on what's going on, because I think there was, even this week, there was an individual one, and I think it may have possibly been one of our students, but was raising money for a national competition that dealt with them being a part of a travel team. But it was one person raising money for their expenses, and I really think it's something that our county government really needs to look at in terms of who's getting permission and what they getting permission for. But that's neither here nor there. I just hate it when I see our kids out there, because that's dangerous. It's dangerous to have a kid standing out there in the middle of the road collecting money. And especially in a couple of these intersections. The intersection up here at McDonald's, we sat in a meeting, Arthur and I sat in a meeting last fall, and that intersection is one of the 5 most dangerous intersections in this district in the state of Kentucky. It's one of the 5 most dangerous intersections in this entire district. That's the Breathitt County District. So, and that's the intersection that they're in a lot of times. So I don't know. I may have a conversation. I don't want to ever step on to Judge Taylor's toes by any means, but I am concerned that we've got some kids out there. And, you know, it's one thing if parents go out there, but when they put kids out there, I can't legislate what parents do with their kids, but I'm worried about our kids that are out there. But you have those fundraiser reports, and there are no roadblocks in there, okay? That just doesn't happen. Opening day, of course, is on the 7th at the high school auditorium, and I think we begin at like 7:30 for breakfast, and the program begins about 8:30, 8:45. We're looking forward to a big day. Our community's getting geared up again. Our community support for that day is unreal, so as board members, you all should have got an invitation to be there. Chip Southworth is our speaker, and Chip is all about growth mindset, and he's an excellent speaker. He's really never done an opening day program like this before, but he's really excited about doing it, and our teachers, in a lot of their surveys and feedback data this past year, they said the work that they've done with Chip Southworth has been some of the best work they've ever done in education in terms of having a growth mindset about how we complete our jobs, or how we do our job duties on a daily basis. You've got your back to school dates there, the different open houses, and I would also like for y'all to look at your calendars, and if at all possible, I'd like to try to schedule a special called meeting on August the 3rd. We need to discuss the budget And by then, we'll have all of our receipts and everything in, so we'll have the year closed out for this past year. We'd like to discuss, I know y'all want to discuss evaluation as far as the superintendent's concerned, what your goals are for me this coming year. And I think also at that time, we should have an answer in terms of the recallable nickel if we have a petition. And the deadline for the petition is July 31st. If we have a petition, then it's up to the board to decide whether or not they want to proceed. I think it would be appropriate on August 3rd to have an action item during that special called meeting that the board needs to decide if they have a valid petition. Ms. Fox has said that she will try to certify that petition in a very timely manner in order for us to meet all the deadlines we need to meet for tax bills this fall. So I think it would be appropriate at that time to ask for a vote in terms of whether the board wants to proceed with the election that, again, has been budgeted for within your budget. So that's all I have from the superintendent's report. And I don't know if y'all have any questions for me or if you got anything yourself.
Any questions? Any comments? Thank you, Mr. Saylor. Next, we'll need a motion to go into closed session.
I make the motion, we go into closed session.
And I'll second. All in favor?
So the president, there'll be no action coming out of this. We're just updating a couple of situations, and probably won't be here very long, but who knows? We might decide to have a pod day. Thank you.